Hey there, it's Kelly Duty back with you, founder of the Social School. And holy smokes, you are officially not just rounding the home stretch, you're in it. You're on the dash to the finish line if you've been part of the entire digital marketing certificate here with us at the Social School. And hey, if you're just doing this course as a one off, good for you. You clearly know the importance of gathering, gleaning, optimizing all the data, insights, and analytics that are available to us now in the wonderful world of social media and digital marketing. And as we all know, professional marketer, small business owner, entrepreneur, newbie, or otherwise, we are hard pressed to not find anyone that comes through our door at the Social School, and even with ourselves, that isn't very well aware of the fact that we need to be tracking these things more than ever, and that there is so much information at our fingertips today that we can use very smartly and to move forward with in a way that allows us to not only execute better digital marketing, but spend a lot less money doing so. So if you're not understanding that and practicing some of that kind of reporting on an ongoing basis and benchmarking your efforts, you're falling behind. But not you, my friend. You're in it along with us, and you're ready to go with learning the better ways and perhaps hopefully easier, seamless ways to gather that kind of insight and information and, just truly make your marketing shine. Bring home all the things we've discussed so far and, report. All right, so course number 5, Insights and Optimization. You've got your learning guide or your program guide to download as a PDF and follow along if you like, or just use it for future reference. And then you've also got your workbook, also downloadable as a PDF. You can print this off and go pen to paper with it if you like, or you can just refer to it and make notes in a book. But we really like to get off the keyboard and put some thoughts down and stop what we're doing. So feel free to stop the recording at any point and put some thought into these questions as we go. Consider it your homework and your assignments. If we were in class, we would be, really pushing pause and getting you to kind of pull these answers out of yourselves and talking them through. But when you're on your own on the internet, I'm with you, but I really, really implore you to try and get some of these questions answered, and it'll help you as you go forward. Okay, and then the third thing you've got is this handy dandy Excel spreadsheet, because what would a digital marketing certificate course be without a spreadsheet somewhere, a planning tool of some kind that you can make your own. This guy here is going to be, we're going to look at this more in modules 2 and 3, but essentially it's a nice example, I suppose, of some reporting and benchmarking tracking mechanisms that you can utilize, and some examples that we've pulled from our client work, and then some examples that we have developed ourselves. Everything from legacy stats, if you're tracking year over year, here's an example for you that you can make your own. And then, perhaps it's just top level key insights every month that you're making a point of gathering. We're going to look, of course, in the back end of Google Analytics and Facebook Insights and Instagram, and of course also some third-party reporting tools and apps. And then from there, it's up to you how much you want to actually simply screen grab month over month or just refer to, or perhaps you're in a larger organization and you've got, the CFO breathing down your neck, or you just want to have a really great way to report on your work, which I can't say how smart that is in terms of securing additional budgets and justifying your time and energy on your digital marketing. And you want to put together an actual, 2 to 10 page report every month that doesn't just show those kind of high level vanity metrics, if you will, of likes and followers, but it starts to show social ROI and conversions. So those meaningful actions that we're talking about, especially in course number 1, digital strategy, where I was with you, just being able to align our efforts in marketing today with the financial goals of our company, or otherwise, but the business goals. One thing I will note is that, like with your other worksheets, workbooks, you have a set of Google worksheets as an alternative. So if you wanted to, you can go into page 3 of this workbook and instead utilize the live Google Docs version of this of that spreadsheet instead of Excel if that's more your thing. So just know that that link is available to you. And once again, the best thing to do here is go File, make a copy, and then you'll have it as your own, living in your own Google Drive. Good old Google Drive, my favorite. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in. So we've looked at all angles so far, I think, of digital marketing. Right off the hop in digital strategy, we certainly talked about, just the landscape and the different kind of, I suppose, silos of digital marketing. And hopefully you started to identify some of the places you really need to be. Is that more focused on website and user experience in the interface and searchability? Or is it more on the social media content curation and creation side of things? Maybe it's more specifically your art, your graphics, photography, live video, copywriting, or potentially just straight up SEO. So we know that there are, of course, no shortage of places for us to focus our efforts. But again, I think it doesn't matter what you choose and where you're diving in deep and how mature your social program is or your digital marketing program. You do need to have some kind of skill at knowing the insights and the results of everything you're doing. And thus, insights and optimization. Here we go. So module number 1. This video is going to look at metrics and modeling. Before we can do anything in terms of benchmarking, testing, optimizing content, and writing reports, we need to have a model for what we're looking for. So first off, analyzing the behaviors of our current audience, especially that online audience, to understand what they're doing. How are they experiencing our site, our platforms? How are they engaging with our content, if at all? And then truly, what are our business metrics? Really getting outside the marketing department or our own heads and asking ourselves the bigger, broader questions. Why? Because marketing, as we know now, is so much more than just the marketing department. It is sales, it's customer service, it's your C-suite, it's your fundamental overarching, hopefully, engagement tool and public persona of your company. And I read a quote the other day that was fantastic. It said, social going forward is no longer about counting followers or creating viral content. It's about brands who are making social their everything. So thinking about it as the center of their brand, like their customer interface, their public persona, their mechanism for reaching and engaging and compelling people to them. This is what social can be for us, or digital, and it's not just one small piece of our puzzle anymore. It can be a lot more than that. It's so scalable. It's just it's endless. So again, knowing the foundation of our measurement framework, and we're going to look at how to build that if we don't already have it in mind. Then we'll get more into benchmarking, testing, A/B testing in particular, and looking at that organic and paid content side. As we talked about in course number 1, holy cow, this happened almost overnight. I think Facebook's zero so-called announcement in January of 2018 certainly helped with this. Helped or scared us all, but created a reality for us where we know that the paid side of our digital marketing efforts are now not just important, they're imperative. They're half the battle. Creating great organic or unpaid content is necessary for sure. That's, the kind of stuff that gets seen and heard and makes your all those accessibility, authenticity, awareness words kind of come to life. But getting it seen and heard and having to do that through strategic targeting, optimizing, and paid content is truly how we win the battle. But you know that because you've already taken a Google Ads course and some advanced Facebook advertising courses, hopefully. So how are we optimizing both sides of the coin? And then again, what are the reports and measurement tools that you can develop in your own organization or business that can help you continue to do more of what's working and less of what's not? So metrics and modeling. Here we go. Number one, let's set the foundation for effectively measuring social and digital ROI. Can you imagine if you were able to, walk into your CFO's office or your director, or even just face your spouse and say, here is exactly the return on my marketing investment and on the dollars. In digital strategy, you heard me talk about how I can quantifiably say that if we've got some killer ad campaigns running on Facebook and Instagram, it's a 10x return. And that's now my benchmark. It's the goal because I've seen how we can do it. So if we're targeting properly, we've got great content, and we know our audience and who it's landing on, and we're specifically dripping it into the right people's news feeds, sidebars, Facebook Messenger, Instagram stories as promoted content or paid ad campaigns. It is unbelievable what we get in return. It's our most powerful tool. And even if we have to spend a little to make a lot, I'm certainly willing to do so. So how do we actually measure the ROI? Well, sure, we can see it through click-throughs and conversions of the paid ads we're running, but there's other ways as well. So yes, it can be tough to do so if we don't have clear objectives in place and we don't know why we're doing what, or of course, what tactics we're employing as an enterprise organization or even as a small business. So the first step is to set realistic goals that allow us to quantifiably measure our efforts and their impact on our business, which I think is where many of us fall short. Knowing how it is relating to sales or those other goals, subscribes, foot traffic, phone calls, whatever it is that your business goals are, and tying them together. The unfortunate truth is that so many companies struggle with this, and proving it's always been one of the largest factors holding marketers back, but modern marketers too, despite how much information is at our fingertips. I've always loved the line, the old adage that, I know 50% of my marketing is working. I just wish I knew which 50%. And I will say that without wanting to slag our friends in traditional media for one moment, if you buy a print ad, let's say it's a full page magazine ad, or it's a 6-month radio campaign or billboards, traditional any kind of media, chances are you're not going to get a whole lot of reports unless you really demand it. And even then, and I've worked in print and radio, and I can tell you that it's a really tough thing for even them to track. You've got blanket stats and overarching numbers about readership or distribution or so-called eyeballs. It's kind of like impressions. It's like saying that just because 300,000 cars drove by your billboard on Highway 1 in a week, maybe in a day, that many people saw your message. Well, sure, but it's pretty blind. And we know, or it's passive, I should say. And we know now more than ever, hopefully not in their cars, they're not having multiple screens open, but let's say in front of our traditional TV screens or cable channels, or when we're reading a paper, or when we're engaging with the content we want to see, if an ad comes on and it interrupts our experience, how dare it? We're out. We find another screen, we open up a tablet, a phone, we look elsewhere, we change the channel. We're incensed by a YouTube pre-roll ad that's interrupting our experience of taking in that content that probably we're not even paying for. But that is the level of expectation we now have as users and consumers to be able to just blindly engage with or take in whatever content we want without having to be advertised to. So of course, as content creators, we have to work around that and create content that is exceedingly valuable and interesting to people. Challenge number one, well covered in our social media marketing certificate. But challenge number two, of course, is reaching them smartly. Now, with all of those traditional outlets, you're going to get some reports perhaps, but as we said, they're pretty high level or maybe not as helpful. And beyond that, you don't have any ability to turn off, turn on, turn up, or throw more money behind the things that are doing you really well in real time. Enter Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter advertising, and man, you can see something firing within minutes, but how it's performing within 24 hours, and then optimize the heck out of it. And that's where this A/B testing, optimizing, and simply, analyzing comes into play. So yes, we've got to know which metrics to track, what we're aiming for, but there's no shortage of ways for us to do this. Now, data, of course, is more fragmented than ever. There's so much of it is the problem. So you look at Instagram for business stats, for example, on your phone right now. Pretty rudimentary, getting better all the time, but nothing compared to Facebook Business Manager, and you open up the Ads Manager Insights and you see more stats than you'll ever know what to do with. More abilities to pull custom reports, filter those, share them, download them, etc., as we're going to look at today. But in a lot of cases, people have no idea where to begin. So it's not too difficult. You've just got to identify what you're looking for and then go forward from there. Social metrics are often disconnected from business goals, as we mentioned. So this can be, make the investment, especially on an ongoing basis, hard to justify. More reason than ever, you're going to have to be able to say, hey, I was responsible for that input, that revenue, those new subscribers or eyeballs or whatever it was. And here's how I can prove that. So doing it out of isolation, doing it with the top level strategy of the business in mind is going to get us ahead. So the goal for us all as, full-blown marketers or just, startups, entrepreneurs playing in the space a little bit here, we're all needing to show impact and progress on these business goals, not just on our marketing plans or program. So the ideal measurement framework includes the ability to set objectives that are aligned to those business goals, choosing the metrics that are right for you and your organization. So what do you need to be measuring? And then the ability to calculate social and digital's impact through attribution modeling so we can attribute exactly what tactic led to what. So adopting social ROI, of course, this is the goal. We need to, of course, consider the maturity of your social program and how far along you are with your social media efforts as a company. And then as well, your digital. So, are you just starting out? You can't prove ROI on day one of anything, as we know. But at the same time, that information will be there for you. So if you start doing, you're doubling down on your Facebook page efforts and trying to build a following there and create great content and live videos and varied, valuable information on there, and you're promoting that content to strategic audiences, not yet running ad campaigns, but getting close, great, you're going to have some information. If nothing else, a reason to build a big audience or at least some semblance of an audience on a Facebook page that's beyond, say, 100 fans is because you're going to have more information, more data points to look at, and more people, of course, that are going to give you, just more varied information, more effective and accurate information. So be patient. Those of us who are further along with our digital programs and spending within it and resources behind it, of course, are going to be tracking different things. It goes without saying. So we are under constant pressure to prove success. And the question is, can you do so? How are you doing so? If you are, hats off to you, but I think we can all probably do a better job. And if you're working with clients, you're in any kind of agency or consulting business and you're doing marketing for them, yeah, you know as well as I do that people don't give two craps anymore about 300 likes on a photo or 45 shares on that video. They want to know how it's converting to sales. Why? Well, because call it the economy, call it the new reality. We're all past those vanity metrics. We need to see conversions. So, clearly identifying those is important, but are you using the social metrics alone? This is important to know too, to measure those marketing results, or can you look to a broader spectrum of the website conversions, in-store traffic, all of those things, the very meaningful actions and conversions I'm going to keep hitting home. Are you working with other teams inside or outside of your organization to understand the impact and essentially just being able to speak with your sales team or, other people on the grounds, the customer service agents, even just your customers? Have you noticed this? Have you seen that? Did you catch that? Did you see a rise in this? Beyond just relying on our enterprise team now and our entire, staff, if you have one, to help spread the word and share the posts and create that organic kind of sharing system, and also be advocates of the brand right alongside the marketing department. We also have to turn to them to, learn what they're hearing, what the kind of feedback or boots on the ground and, of course, sales results have been. So making sure that that is happening and that there's a consistent flow of communication. And again, this is where reports are really helpful. And then have you integrated your social data with other customer touch points, like a combination of many tactics, which we of course need to develop and identify and have a strong marketing mix that all has to be brought into account. So first little exercise for you here, as denoted by the yellow page. Identifying both business and marketing success metrics for your organization. What KPIs, so key performance indicators, does your organization use to define its business success, and how are you measuring that? Is it just revenue? Hopefully not. But is it also just fluff? Hopefully not. What social metrics are you using to measure those results, as in likes, comments, shares, or is it more about click-throughs, conversions, sales, subscribes? What are you using to measure the broader results? So are you looking at your Google Analytics? Do you have goals set up in your Google Analytics to help you identify what was, started with a Facebook like and led to a sale because they landed on your /welcome or thank you page of your website? Great. You've measured the start to finish journey of a customer, and you can attribute it, if it's properly tagged with a UTM tag that you learned about in advanced Facebook advertising and Google Ads, that you can say that exact post led to that sale. Let's do more of that. And then what outside, again, people, programs, apps, tools, software, etc. are you using to understand that impact and measure it? Second exercise here that you can take a crack at while you're doing number one, the A1 business goals. What would you define to be the top 3 business goals of your organization in the 12 months ahead? Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 2 years, whatever works for you. But hey, this is where it's pretty important to stop and think and find the information if you don't have it. If you don't have access to this information, we're not talking marketing goals here. We're talking business goals. We're talking about positioning you as the most valuable linchpin in your organization, big or small. Why? Because you care. You are combining marketing and sales together. And again, this is what matters. You're spending money on ads, you sure as heck better be leading to sales. So finding out what those business goals are if you don't already know them, inserting yourself into those conversations, the top level business conversations, and making sure that you're not just positioned as the fluffy marketer. So take a minute, push pause on the tape, and I'll see you back here in a second. All right, welcome back. The social maturity assessment. So we've talked a little bit about this. We spoke of this in digital strategy as well. How far along are you? We've got a bit of an assessment tool here to outline, first of all, what the landscape of social maturity looks like, and hopefully help you identify where you sit within it. So number 1, and so many of us are hanging out in number 1 or number 2, and that's okay. We've got goals of our own. So a siloed approach is where social and digital efforts live in complete isolation from the rest of the business. You are seen as the marketing department or the marketer. You're kind of a necessary piece of the puzzle, but you're certainly not an integral seat at the table. Collaborative. So we're starting to see social come out of the marketing department. It's moving into customer service. It's playing a role in communication with prospects, customers, clientele, and starting to get that brand voice out there through social in a scalable fashion that's playing a bigger role. Integrated. Social is now able to prove tangible ROI. Amen. Hallelujah. Proof of driving additional revenue, customer retention, and that nurturing loyalty factor that we're all aiming towards, employee satisfaction, etc. It's a nice integrated holistic approach. Number 4, strategic. Social is now a core business strategy. It's fundamental to sales. It's a digital first mindset. Look no further than the Hootsuites, HubSpots, social media, or essentially any kind of software program that has to do with marketing, measurement, automation, scheduling, etc. And they are using social as a core business strategy for sure. And then, a lot of retailers starting to as well, where they're skipping some of them even skipping past having a website or an e-commerce site and selling directly from social, and recognizing that, just like I spoke about with this, that quote at the beginning, that brands are making social their everything because they can and it's working. And then finally, further down that spectrum is transformative. So social is no longer just a communications channel, it's now a service delivery channel. So this would be pretty extreme, but thinking about like advanced use cases, artificial intelligence, bots, social is totally transforming the business and leading the business, which is pretty fascinating, and we will see more and more of that. So if you look at it on a bit of a scale here, we can see that the ROI of social on the left goes from low to high, the further along that framework we get, and that the more we adopt it and use it and truly understand it throughout every aspect of our organization, big or small, we move more to that, ideally to me, that strategic level. Transformative might be a little bit pie in the sky for some of us, and maybe we don't need to get there. But certainly integrated strategic digital marketing, social media, you're not going to go wrong. I know I'm a bit biased, but the world is not turning away from their devices and their social networks and their platforms and their varied advertising channels. So the more you stay in the siloed area, the harder time you're going to have of capturing attention and actually, cutting through the noise in the future and even now. By the future, I mean next week and going forward. So as you travel through the framework, your ability to capture ROI and prove it becomes stronger, obviously, because that's the core piece of the puzzle. So tying social media to our initiatives to broader business initiatives is always the key here, or the aim for all of us. And by social, of course, we mean digital as well. I love this quote. I once had my boss say this to me, the VP of sales and marketing, when I was trying to run all sorts of sponsorship and, just giveaway programs and fun integrated things at the swimsuit company I was working for. He said, before we can do good, we have to do well. What do you mean we can't do pop-ups and collaborations and influencer campaigns and freebies and good giveaways and live events and spend a fortune on, one for one and give back and social enterprise? Unfortunately, the reality is that most of us have to start doing well first. And of course, by well, we mean having sales and being consistent with them and having a healthy bottom line before we can, start playing in the space. So all the more important for us to know that our marketing dollars are doing that. So it's just one area where social media can drive business for organizations. And as well, of course, now marketing is playing a role in revenue and sales, but also brand marketing and awareness. I suppose it always has, but to a whole other level. HR, definitely. Recruiting and customer service. I love the recruiting HR piece here because especially for bigger companies, and just by virtue of the fact that turnover at companies is the highest it's ever been and loyalty is a little bit less. And, as humans, we have more and more roles in organizations and jobs throughout our life than ever before in history. So recruitment is a huge piece of the puzzle. And if you're not telling your story as a brand, many big companies doing this so well with their LinkedIn pages, of course. Yes, they're marketing channels, but they're also meant to be really engaging employee experiential platforms and storytelling and recruitment tools that can certainly do a really good job of making that happen. All right, finally, driving business value far beyond the marketing department. So, what additional ways do your social media and digital efforts support other areas of your business and your business goals? Just think again here about what we're speaking to with sales and customer service, HR, but anything that's specific to your organization and how potentially you're seeing an impact from your marketing efforts. And yeah, take a minute to do that, and then I'll meet you back here for the last part. Okay. Next up, the customer journey as the foundation of our measurement framework. So interesting to think of it this way, I think. To take the experience that our customers having, which has drastically shifted over the last year or 2 or 10, and using that as the measurement so that we're seeing those touch points along their journey from their first discovery of us as a brand to the time that they either become a lifelong loyal fan or, a purchaser, which is obviously the goal. And what is it that they did and said and shared, and how long did it take, and, how many times did they return, etc. We've got to understand all those things. So yes, this has absolutely changed, and it's imperative that we kind of do a revaluation of this, that you take another look at what you think your customer's journey is and what it really is. it probably has changed quite significantly. The buying patterns are likely very different, as well as the awareness. But if you think about how many channels now there are for people to become aware of your business, as well as all of your competitors and alternatives, versus what there was several years ago, and then and then as well the advocacy categories, because that's the goal, right? Brand advocacy is where we've gotten to the place where people don't just like us and follow us, but they are truly advocates and diehard fans of our brand, and hopefully, get to that stage of loyalty and love for who we are and what we're doing. They feel like they know us, they feel like we're solving their problems, and they wouldn't go anywhere else. We've got the tools and technologies now to be able to create those sentiments and to find people that didn't even know they needed us. The advocates that we can go search out and target and hopefully win over. That didn't used to happen. So it's key to measure the touch points that we have with those prospects or customers, and the channels that are reaching them. So let's consider 3 different journeys here. You've got your business objective journey, a customer journey, and then that social objective or key performance indicator journey. First of all, in the business category. So technically, we would want to be, our goals would be maximizing reach, finding new customers, earning new subscribers, generating those hot leads, generating revenue, and then generating repeat sales. The traditional, circular life cycle mentality of a business goal. The customer journey, what are they doing? Well, awareness, followed by hopefully some sort of affinity or consideration, and then the consumption or purchase, conversation, further advocacy, and hopefully referrals. And then intent, so continued ongoing intent to buy or return or just become more and more loyal to us. And then whatever other conversion that looks like. So maybe it's something deeper, maybe it's ongoing, but you've won them over. The social KPI journey, you've got reaches and reach impressions. So talk about sort of those high level vanity type, not necessarily actionable things, but we're at least hopefully getting in their eyeballs or in their inbox. Then likes and follower growth, they're starting to at least engage with us on a deeper level, video views, page views, and then of course more so in shares, comments, brand mentions, and then clicks, link clicks, click-throughs, and then sign-ups and sales. So if we look at this in terms of the old school on the bottom row physical version of that customer journey versus the top now current modern digital version, we go through that same cycle, but totally different tools and tactics getting us there. And really, this, hasn't happened overnight, but at the same time, it's pretty drastic, the way that we're now looking at things. And again, that goes back to those brands that are maybe abandoning all the things on the lower level: billboards, phone books, retail locations, physical presence of whether that's a gift exchange or just in-person meetups, phone calls, etc., and handshake type relationships. Whereas now on the top, the digital version of that, of course, awareness in any kind of platform or channel that we can reach them with on our tablets and devices. The evaluation stage that happens by Google search or social search. The acquisition stage that happens through e-commerce or probably an online transaction. Ongoing engagement through e-newsletters, nurturing of any kind that's smart and tailored. Of course, our social platforms and advertising campaigns, and then advocacy that's done, again, at scale online as opposed to one-to-one. How does social contribute to your customer journey, and where is it a touch point? So is social driving your website traffic or email signups, but potentially not necessarily sales conversion? Where are you going wrong? How are you losing them along the way? You're not alone if this is your issue. So many of us are still stuck in, again, that kind of awareness and not necessarily meaningful actions stage of our social, and we need to be thinking about it a little bit more the other way, or just aiming for that deeper level. So social plays certainly an important role in the customer journey right to the end, and that long tail purchase decision can start with social, even if it takes years to get that person there. But hopefully it takes more like days or weeks. And just finally, one note here about normalizing the data. So when you're outlining your social digital KPIs, Let's not just aim for that raw number of likes, comments, shares. We've got to have it as a percentage of the overall number of impressions, just like you would normalize any other kind of data, so that we can really see its effectiveness and not just measure so-called audience size. We want to have it as a percentage of. So, good start, and hopefully that is something to get you thinking about, at least that early stage metrics modeling. What does your model look like? What are your business goals, and how are you going to meet them through your social and digital efforts? Great job. I will see you over in Module 2, and we're going to talk benchmarking. Thanks.